Nice wine.
And welcome back, everybody, to another exciting edition of the TV show podcast. I'm Jay Black. Joined, we both have haircuts. Angelo Cataldi and myself both got haircuts recently. And Rhea Hughes, who always looks luminous as compared to two hatchet jobs over here.
Hey, speak for yourself, man.
Yeah, like, you're more of a hatchet occupation, Angelo. I'll give you that.
I'm crushing it right now. I
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking about.
I want to start by telling you when I was a little kid, I used to get a magazine called Mad Magazine. And it was one of my favorite things in the world. I think every person that became a comedian was addicted to Mad Magazine at some point. And I remember being 6 or 7, reading Mad Magazine, and they had a thing about the worst thing that could happen to you. And it was Mike Wallace showing up as you were leaving the store with the cameras and the microphone. And I didn't know what that was when I was 6 and 7, Angelo. All I knew was that it was to be feared when 60 Minutes was interested in something that you were doing. And this was such a cultural foundation for me that I knew about it before I knew about it because it was in Mad Magazine. So the word that is coming out ever since the takeover of CBS by a group of people that are friendly with the Trump administration and the elevation of Bari Weiss to the person in charge of all of news at CBS, we've seen a deterioration of this independence and journalistic integrity, and it culminated this weekend with the firing of Scott Pelley. And I just wanted to set that and let you talk about it, Angela, because I know you have a lot of passion about this.
I really do have a lot of passion because it's the First Amendment and it's what gave me a career. And with Scott Pelley, who, by the way, was fired late last night. We're doing this on Wednesday. We're taping this on Wednesday. On Tuesday night of this week, he was fired, I guess, for insubordination because he attended a meeting with the brand new boss under Bari Weiss, a guy named Nick Bilton. Right now, you should know this about Bari Weiss, who is in full charge of 60 Minutes, and Nick Bilton, who has no broadcast experience whatsoever. They are both hacks. Do you understand? They are not about doing the journalism that 60 Minutes has done better than any broadcast show in TV history. They're not about that. They're about protecting the president, softening the blows when there are stories about the corruption going on in our government. And Scott Pelley would have none of it. He is taking heat now everywhere for being overly performative. Oh, he dropped on the sword to be a martyr. No, somebody's got to stand up to these people, Jay. Somebody's got to say, we're not going to let you take over. We're not going to have you muzzle journalism. And that's what's been going on here. And I say bravo to Scott Pelley for telling them all to go straight to hell. Because you know what they did? They took 60 Minutes and CBS News, the home of Edward R. Murrow and Walter Cronkite, and they turned it into crap. You understand? They just ruined it. And they should all go straight to hell. The problem is they've already created it at CBS.
Rhea, you are a newswoman. And, not to say that,
Seriously.
not to say that sports is less important than geopolitical terms, but have you ever had this much interference in what you do in reporting on the sports in Philadelphia?
Well, so just so I can tell people that Angelo's outrage is something over interference and trying to take a show that has a certain integrity. Our show was crazy, but Angelo had standards. I watched him do this repeatedly with management types over the years, and I mean, knock down, drag out. When I knew Angelo was upset about something that they were trying to soften the blow for. Angelo doesn't even know this. I would go and warn them. I'm like, just letting you know, you better be prepared. It's going to be ugly. I would just, I didn't want them to get punched in the face. I wanted them to have a little time to think about what they were going to say, but it didn't matter because when it came to certain things, that's how Angelo was going to be. Here's the problem. And you're right. It's about the government that's in place now that you can't make fun of. Nobody allows anybody to make fun of anybody anymore. And so, or just like, have a different opinion. It was on Twitter the other day. I saw it was when Obama was running for president and John McCain was his
Hmm.
opponent. And the two of them got up there and made fun of each other. And
Right.
it was a riot. I mean, it was, you, nothing can be said about the president administration, whether it's true, whether it's funny, because we've seen what's happened with Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel. None of that is allowed anymore. And I think that like we have to get back to going, no, there should be allowed to be pushback. The reason we're like Americans is that we should be able to question what our leaders do.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. And I think they've taken away. I think Scott Pelley wanted to get fired. From everything I've read about it, I've
Right.
read, just I could never say the things that he said in that meeting to his new bosses. Angelo would have said those same exact things. I lived it. I watched it.
Right.
So, they were just not going to deal with it and they get rid of him. They had already basically bastardized 60 Minutes. They're down to like 3 correspondents. But I just think like in America, we just have to say, like, no matter what you are, Democrat, Republican, whatever, like, allow yourselves to be made fun of, to have people question you. That's a very American thing, to question what you're doing. And to take that away, I think is bad.
Agree 100%.
Hey, Jay, one other thing. I just want to say that I got to know Fred Friendly, who was the president of CBS News and was the brains behind the origin of 60 Minutes. He was a professor at Columbia when I went there. And he expressed a pride for what they were doing in journalism at CBS. Like no pride I ever saw anybody express anywhere about journalism. He said, we are out there to hold the people in power accountable.
Yeah.
And they did it every day. And there were no repercussions because they were an entity independent from all the influences you get in politics, the lobbying. They didn't do that. They went out there. They had Edward R. Murrow. They had Walter Cronkite. They had Mike Wallace and Morley Safer. They had great journalists doing great work. The fact that they have brought 2 hacks in who are nothing more than political lobbyists of their own to ruin that product. More people than just Scott Pelley have to get involved. The public has to express the fact that they want our press to remain free.
Yeah.
And the
problem
other
is,
thing I want to say
Ange,
about
half of the public does not. That's
I
the problem.
understand that, but they don't realize they have to have it.
But we're so fractured now in this country.
Right.
Half the people, and it's on
Right.
both sides. I'm saying on both sides.
Right.
One side only wants to hear their point of view, the other side their point of view, and there's no like, okay, we should question this
You're
person.
right.
We can make fun of it. It's on both sides of the
Right.
aisle.
And there's
Yeah.
one other thing, Jay, that I got to make this point because Scott Pelley did, Rhea's 100% right, what I did more times than I could tell you. I basically went after my bosses publicly. I went after them on the air. I went after them in meetings. I did it all the time because you have to.
Yeah.
If you are good at what you do and somebody is trying to sabotage your work for whatever their agenda is, it is essential that you look them in the eye and say, no, you're not doing that to me. I'll quit before you do that. I'll make a public spectacle before you do that because I know what's right. And this is not it. And I did that for 50 years. I alienated every boss I ever had. No boss ever liked me. And I have had, here I sit 3 years into retirement, Jay, and I don't have a single regret about doing it that way. If I had to do it again, I'd be an even bigger a-hole.
Angelo, it's not possible for you to be a bigger one.
Rhea, I would like to try.
Yeah. Give him a shot, everybody. All right. Well, that is, of course, the bad news of the week. But I feel like we have some good news here. And I'd like to turn my attention to it because, the movies are very important to me. And I'm there was three movies that have come out in the last 4 or 5 months that I believe is the start of a trend. We have a movie called Backrooms from a 20-year-old, can't even drink, named Kane Parsons, that opened to $81 million this weekend. We have a movie called Obsession from another YouTuber named Kerry Barker that just crossed $100 million and had the third highest third week increase in history. And then, of course, earlier in the year, we talked about the movie by Markiplier, which was made on a $3 million budget, wound up making over $50 million worldwide. And Rhea, I want to set the stage here because I'm a big fan of movie history. In the 60s and 70s, you had the film school brats. You had Spielberg and Scorsese. Things had gotten stale, and then in the 70s, things got better because of those guys. In the 80s, things got stale again, and you have the VHS independent group like Tarantino and Rodriguez. Now things are stale. Are we seeing a third wave? Is this the YouTuber wave, Rhea? And are you excited about it? Because I'm excited.
Well, so I consulted an expert that I happen to know very, very well who lives in my home. He just left because he's basically on summer vacation. Clark Cohn. So every night, and I wake up at 2:30 in the morning, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I always just go in and check on Clark because the TV's always running and I want to make sure his phone's plugged in. And it's on YouTube every night. So I literally said to him, please explain this phenomenon because he knows about all those movies that you mentioned. And he said, here's the thing is these YouTubers, he's been watching them for years, okay? They have been doing skits online, okay? They do these, and they get immediate feedback. There's no test screens. Before those movies ever went to a test screen, they had been through thousands online. They have a built-in audience. So when these movies by these YouTubers get to the big screen, they've already been vetted by their audience who loves them. And then it's word of mouth and it's online. They've created this thing where they are, when a movie comes out with a big movie, they don't have a built-in audience. You have to go and see if you like it.
Right.
YouTubers already know their audience. That's what Clark told me. They already know who they are. And he said, basically, you got a guy who's filming. He might have an editor and he might have a manager. That's three people.
Right.
There's no big movie thing. There's no writers and directors and people who all have opinions on it. So their vision remains very focused on what they already know their subscribers like.
Angelo, I know you're a huge Backrooms YouTube fan. I know that you are very active in the comments section.
So, I am intrigued by it. It does sound like an interesting thing. The only thing I don't have a lot to contribute on this, Jay. This is more your thing because you're more into YouTube than I am. But I think it's a good direction because it's giving people who have a talent for this kind of thing an opportunity to show their work that they otherwise would. There must be enormous numbers of filmmakers who never got discovered because no one could ever see their work. It wasn't exposed to people. Now, with all of the material you can get on YouTube, if somebody's got real talent, it could surface there and lead to great work like what we're seeing starting to happen in movies. I think it's a great direction. I think it's awesome that more people get a chance to show what they can do.
Isn't that how Quinta Brunson kind of got her start? Wasn't it online? She was doing skits online. And then wound up having one of the best TV shows that we've had in the past couple of years.
100%. I think it's that, Rhea, your son's point is exactly right. I think that they have gone through this very competitive ringer that is YouTube. Like, it's impossible to get traction unless you stand out in some way. So they've developed a visual style that makes people excited to come and see it. And I have a 15-year-old daughter that could care less about movies. And she said, hey, I've been hearing a lot about this Obsession movie. We should go see that Obsession movie. It's an original story, Angelo. Original stories permeating among young people that are desperate to go see it. And the stuff that they said was, slam dunk, like the He-Man movie's coming out this weekend. It's going to crash and burn. The Star Wars movie crashed and burned. It came in third last weekend behind two original movies. Wow. It's crazy. It's just insane.
Good. I'm glad because you know what? Maybe the movie people will see that telling a story is just as effective as blowing up a bridge.
I would agree, Angelo. And finally, let's switch back to CBS for just a second. I don't want to, but I think we have to. We have a week's worth of statistics now from Byron Allen's Comics Unleashed, the show that replaced Colbert. It's averaging about 995,000 viewers, which is about 85% lower than the finale, and about a third of what he was averaging per show on a regular time. CBS is saying it's okay. We made money on it. We're making a $15 million profit, so that's all that's important. And Angela, this is what I want to bring up to you, because every time I do a radio interview for a gig, people will try to say the same thing to me. Aren't people tired of political comedy? Why can't they just go back to just doing middle of the road stuff? Well, there's nobody more middle of the road than Byron Allen. Norm Macdonald once famously said, "There's no show more leashed than Comics Unleashed." Right? This is middle of the road, milk toast, no opinion. Isn't it weird how Cars Drive kind of BS comedy and nobody cares about it? Colbert had an opinion and people watch. Is that the takeaway from this?
You had me when you said that CBS is thrilled and they lost 85% of Colbert's audience. Right? That tells you that their priorities are a little screwed up right now. I always thought you ran a network to see how many eyeballs you can get watching it with you. Apparently, that's not the problem anymore. Byron Allen, this is all I want to say. And look, he's a billionaire. He's a brilliant money guy. He is also a master of utter slop, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't believe me, I'll take you back more than 50 years ago. There was an anthology show called Real People, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
It had several very benign comic voices on there. Sarah Purcell, Skip Stevenson, and Byron Allen, right? And it was supposed to be humor without an edge. And look, whatever happened, Byron Allen took that. He was at best a mediocre comedian, at best. But he's a brilliant businessman and he's a billionaire now. I don't blame him for selling this slop to CBS. I blame CBS for not understanding that it's garbage. You lost 85% of your audience. People aren't watching your network the way they did before. Does that not matter?
Yeah, Rhea, I mean, it used to be the Tiffany network, and now I think
worked for that network for a very long time. I have two things that are very cherished, marking my 15th year, my 20th year. So this is what's amazing. Comedy highlights what people, I think the best comedy highlights what people talk about every day, but they take it to a different level. I just saw Wanda Sykes' new stand-up comedy. I don't know if you've seen it, Jay.
Right. Yeah, no, you had shared it with me. Yes. It was very good.
You know, she does Trump stuff, but then she does a ton of stuff with her family, her wife, her kid. It's a riot because she touches on everything. Milquetoast comedy does absolutely nothing for me. So, they're just happy they got a check. You can do it all, but nobody wants to offend anybody. I got to go right down the middle. I thought she was very funny.
Yeah, you can't have a point of view without alienating at least a few people. If you try to bring everybody in, you have something that nobody cares about. It's just, and listen, if you see my show, I am not somebody, if you watch my YouTube or Instagram, I am somebody that pisses off a lot of people. But if you watch my show, I just like making people laugh. But even then, you have to make decisions about where you stand on something, and it might upset some people. All that said, I would gladly sell out in a second to become a billionaire. I think that you're going to, Angela, I wanted to plug my appearance on Comedians Unleashed. I'm going to be there this weekend.
You would be on there. You would. I hate to say it. You're very much a capitalist.
And you know what I would do with that money, Angelo? I would go see our great sponsor.
Yes.
Steven Singer is what I would do with that money. I would take it and I'd go buy it. And I wouldn't even need that much because he's got such reasonable prices. Tell me about Steven Singer.
Here's the thing. This is how perfectly he ties in with this. I used to do a lot of the spots on WIP for Steven without a script. And I would just talk. for
Right.
60 seconds, which usually ended up being 80 or 90. Steven knew how to get the most out of
Oh,
his
yes, he
money.
did.
Right. But here's the thing. A lot of times without a script, I would say things that, Steven's a little out there and that he loved it.
Right.
And he didn't care that we offended a few people because he had enough confidence in his product and the way he sold it that he thought that was really the only determinant on whether or not he was going to be a success in his business. He's been around for almost as long as 60 Minutes now. That's how great he formed this concept of how to run a jewelry business. And he does it simple: fair prices, honest appraisal of what you're buying, and tremendous selection. And usually covering that aspect of it is our own Rhea Hughes.
I'm going to tell you, he put out a commercial recently, and you can find it on Twitter, that went through Steven Singer through the years, from like the 80s up until now. And of course, there's a scene where you're in it, Ange, when we would do the marriages at his place with the bubble bath.
Yep.
For Steven, the wackier, the better. He wants to have fun. And when you go in there, there's no stress. He's there. His people are there to take care of you. And I spotted something. I love these kind of. So this is an amethyst and diamond ring.
Ooh,
nice.
Check that out. $398. Look at how gorgeous that is.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Absolutely gorgeous. I love it. But when Angelo and I used to do remotes all the time. The most fun remote we would do every year was at Steven Singer Jewelers, because that is what Steven is about. Good time, happiness, make everybody happy. That's what he does.
It is. It's the other corner of 8th Walnut, now in Newtown as well. Check out Steven Singer Jewelers. IHateStevenSinger.com.
Lovely. And the only thing more lovely is Rhea Hughes's monthly, weekly British comedy.
That's it. I'm only coming on once a month.
You know what, Rhea? My brain is not working anymore. Tell us about what's going on in British TV.
I have a recommendation. I'm not a big moviegoer, but I saw a trailer for The Sheep Detectives, and I was like, I gotta go see this movie. Clark and I went to see it on Sunday. It's a phenomenal movie. It is about a shepherd, sheep shepherd, and it's Hugh Jackman. And it's in this beautiful English countryside. He lives in like a mobile home on it. And every night takes care of all of these sheep. They're like beautiful creatures. He reads to them from detective novels. And he gets done and he says, all right, I'll tell you the rest of the story tomorrow. I'm not everybody knows it involves talking animals, so I'm not breaking anything. He goes into it, and because the animals, the sheep, never talk when there are humans around. They're like, I can't believe they didn't tell us the end of the story. And, goes through this thing, and he gets murdered. And the sheep decide they're going to investigate the murder. Now, this sounds stupid. It sounds like it could be like, this movie is, Clark and I laughed hysterically. This movie has every tenet of a detective, police procedural, alibi, motive. And it is when the sheep decide to investigate. There's, it's a small little town, a small little English village with the hapless police officer. The interactions between the police officer, who is, I think you guys know him. You guys are Succession fans, right?
Yes,
yeah.
It's Greg from Succession.
Yes. So
okay.
He's not English. He has a great accent. He does a great accent. The interaction, never with any talking, between him and the sheep is some of the most brilliant movie making. I mean, Clark and I were laughing out loud because he begins to realize that the sheep are trying to help him solve the crime, but they can't speak when humans are around. I am telling, it's Hugh Jackman's highest rated movie ever on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Problem is, it's not making money. I told you about this, Jay.
Yeah.
That it's not making. So Clark and I, here's the thing is, Clark and I wanted to go to lunch on Sunday, and then I had to be home to watch the Phillies not score runs again in a 4:00 game. So we went to the 10:30 show. There were 4 of us in the movie theater. Clark and I and a couple, okay? Go see it. You will be highly entertained. You could take your kids to it. They'll enjoy it. But as an adult, you will absolutely enjoy it. And I have to thank Jay, I had to go see it over in Cherry Hill because here's the crazy thing is they pulled it out of the AMC in the Fashion District, which is my local place. Jay recommended the Silver Diner for
Yeah.
milkshakes and hamburgers after. Phenomenal. Jay, we absolutely had a great time. We loved it. But I'm telling you, go see it. Put some comments in our section. The Sheep Detectives is a phenomenal movie.
There's
Sounds
nothing
great.
better, Rhea, than hearing
Yeah.
about somebody having a good afternoon at the movies and then
Yeah.
eating hamburgers at a diner.
Yes.
What more does any human being
Perfect.
need in this world? I
Perfect
don't
day.
understand it. It's just wonderful.
It's a
Angelo, what do you
perfect
got for us this week?
I got to know, Rhea, who the hell's playing a sheep?
So the lead sheep is Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Who's the
Are
guy?
they animated? Well, how are they?
No, they're sheep, but they're real sheep, but you put their voices in it with AI, I guess.
Mr. Ed.
Yes, and who's the guy from not The Wire, the
Bryan Cranston. You're
Bryan
thinking
Cranston
of
is
Oh,
terrific.
wow.
yeah.
They have a lot of Helen Emma Thompson is in it.
Emma Thompson. Yeah.
Wow.
She's
I'm
really
in.
good. It's outstanding.
I'm looking at it here.
Love
It's Brett Goldstein
Right.
from Ted Lasso's in it.
Lasso.
Patrick Stewart's in it. Chris O'Dowd is in it. I mean, it's a who's who. It's great. And of course, Nicholas Braun is the guy who played Greg.
Yeah.
Great. Goofy big guy. Yeah.
We all miss Succession. My goodness.
We do.
What a great
We
show
do.
that was.
I want it to come back. I want more. Anyway, let me give you my pick. It's really off the grid. All right. I'll tell you right now. It all started in the first year we did this podcast. I reviewed a documentary that remains one of my favorite of all time. It was called Class Action Park. It is available now on HBO. It's about an amusement park in North Jersey, created by a guy who didn't care about safety at all. And there was no one in New Jersey to regulate him. So one of the things he did is he had a water slide that had a loop-to-loop, which, by the way, is not possible to be done in a water slide because some people aren't hitting it hard enough. So it'll go around the loop. They get to the top and then plunge back to the bottom and smash their head. There were concussions. A few people died. It was crazy. But anyway, so I love that, right? And that's what comes along but a series called Hazardous History with Henry Winkler. It's in season 2 now. It's dropping. Henry Winkler is a great host. He's just terrific. I don't know, something about him. He's just great at it. It is on the History Channel. I have never recommended anything on the History Channel. And this is, I'm telling you, Jay, it is so addictive because it shows you the things that we did when we were kids or when you were kids, even your generation, that were ridiculously risky.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just give you one example. They do a whole show on risky toys, lawn dots that land in people's heads, stuff like that. And there's a science kit that included in it is a tiny sample of uranium, which is radioactive. And little kids were taking it out of the bottle and exposing themselves to what was like an X-ray.
Right.
But it was the stuff in here. There's 14 episodes so far. I think more are dropping. Like one just dropped the other day. They are just filled with all these insane things and stories of what happened to the victims. It's fantastic. It's once you start watching, you're gonna go, oh my God. And then the next one is about science and the stuff in science that we didn't know, and pills that we've taken that ended up being horrendous. It's great. No one talks about it. It's an obscure show.
It sounds insanely dark.
Yeah, it's all dark. 45 minutes of darkness every week.
Yeah.
Hazardous History with Henry Winkler on the History Channel, also Hulu and Disney.
Two things I would say about that, Angelo. Number one is I really enjoyed Class Action Park. That is a great documentary.
Yeah.
And two, I urge you to watch Hazardous History with Henry Winkler with your kids and point at Henry Winkler and go, in the 1970s, that was the coolest man alive.
Yes.
Because now you're just like a doddering old grandfather. You love him. He's great.
Yeah.
But like, nobody's looking at that guy. Really? Everybody thought he was the coolest? Oh, yeah. He could start a jukebox just with his fist.
All right. Let me tell you how cool he was before I give you the final thing. He was in Happy Days, and he was not supposed to be one of the big characters. In the first season, he's playing the guy in the leather jacket, the Elvis guy, right?
Yeah.
And in the script, it says Gary Marshall was the showrunner and the creator of it. In the script, he goes up to a mirror and he pulls out his comb, and they always did it. Rhea's got it anyway. And Henry Winkler on his own looks into the mirror, has the comb, and then goes,
hey,
perfect. Never combs the hair. Said, no, it's perfect. And he came up with that himself. Henry Winkler is a tremendous talent. I have loved him in just about everything he's ever done. Yep. He's fantastic. Anyway, 60 Minutes. If you would like to see A Murder in Progress, it is available now on Sunday nights at 7 on CBS and available the next day on Paramount Plus. Comics Unleashed, which soon will be featuring Jay Black counting his money. That is on CBS weekdays at 11:35 and available on Paramount Plus. If you want to see Byron Allen's early work in front of the camera, watch this awful show, Real People. It is available on Plex. The Sheep Detective, that sounds like the pick of the week to me, but the Sheep Detective is in theaters now. And if you'd like to see something really different, check out Class Action Park on HBO Max and Hazardous History with Henry Winkler on History Channel, Hulu, and Disney.
And that man right there is Angelo Cataldi. His book, Loud, is available at angelocataldi.com, amazon.com, or you can listen to his dulcet tones if you want to listen to it on audible.com. Rhea Hughes can be heard each and every morning on the WIP Morning Show. If you want to listen to it, you get the Odyssey app, and you can listen to it anywhere in the world, or you can check out her awesome Instagram, which is Rhea Hughes 94 WIP. Do you like these political segments? Would you like them to be even more unhinged with a guy shouting jokes? Go find my Instagram. It's Hello J Black. I'm also available on YouTube and Facebook and all those places. And guys, thanks to our sponsor, Steven Singer, for letting us do this show. And we will be back next week with even more great TV content.